Welcome back to From the Scriptwriter's Table. I'm David Lucas, president of Winding Trails Media, and this is a daily video cast on how to write audio dramas. And everything we're talking about here, or not everything, but a lot of what we're going to talk about, can also be played out across other types of media. So really, we're open for all writers. This here is the book we're going through right now. This is a book that's out of print. It's called Handbook of Radio Writing by Eric Barnow. I'm probably butchering his last name. I'm sorry. We're going through this slowly. It is the old Bible for writing audio plays, or what were back then known as radio plays. This is written from the time of the golden age of radio. Everything he wrote still applies today. You can find it maybe in an old bookstore, maybe in your library. I was just reading it, but if you can't find it, don't worry. So before, we're going to go through everything. In yesterday's episode, I forgot to do something, so I'm going to go ahead and just plug this right here before we go diving in to the topic for today. On windingtrailsmedia.com, we are doing a monthly brain trust master group, however you want to call it, event. The first one's going to be June 11th, 2016. Participation is limited to 50 people, but what it is, if you are working on a writing project, would love for it to be an audio script, does not have to be an audio script. If you're working on a writing project and you're kind of stuck, trying to figure out where to go, how to do the next part, maybe some antagonist just isn't doing what you want them to do, whatever, bring it. And it's going to be an open conversation among all writers who attend. And the idea is to bounce ideas and be sounding boards to each other and clear things up as we move on. Because the art of writing is just that. It's an art. There's a science to it, but really it's an art. And we all know we run into problems as we're working through that art. I don't care how many times you've been published, it's the same. So please, it's free. When you click to register, it will take you to PayPal, but that's only to make sure that nobody tries to join after we hit the full 50 people. Because I really don't want to tick off Mr. Number 75 who tried to join, and he can't join. But he registered. So let's talk about the topic for today, and that is sound effects. Audio dramas with sound effects is an aspect of writing that is not really super well known in other medias. And when I say other medias, I'm talking about novel writing, I'm talking about short stories, I'm talking about television and movie plays. In fact, television and movies, when I say one, I'm really talking about both of them. TV and movies have got sound effects. We know this. But the way they use sound effects is different or slightly different than audio dramas or radio plays. And once again, those are interchangeable. In radio plays, sound effects denote action. So if I'm sitting typing a novel, a scene in a novel, a scene in a short story, I may go, Jimmy walked in, he was angry, he stomped across the bar, grabbed a bottle of whiskey, took a swig, and threw the bottle, smashing it into the ground. Now, that's just straight off the top of my head. Please don't bother thinking that's the way I write. But, so that is how you would write it, basically, in a novel or a short story. In a movie script, you would have that being in action. Jimmy walks in, grabs bottle. Jimmy comes in, stomping, grabs bottle, drinks. I'm being over writing on that directional, but I'm trying to give you a picture. That's a lot different than how it's written for audio play. In an audio play, you're going to write a line called sound. And in the sound, you're going to say stomping, swigging liquid or swigging whiskey, you can, if you want to get that technical, slamming and breaking glass. You might add a little more direction to it, but not much. But if you can see, there's a whole different aspect. And what's happening in the sound effects for an audio drama is all of your action is being told through the use of sound. And you're letting the people who are listening to your audio drama picture what's happening in the story. If you write theater scripts, you can see also, or theater plays, you can see how also that's different than what direction you might give in that. Okay. This is probably going to be one of my longer video casts to you, but we're going to cover a couple of other things regarding sound effects before we go. The most important thing about sound effects is up to the engineer who works the radio play on how they design the sound effects based on what you write. For them to get the idea, you need to understand sound effects. And there's 3 categories of sound effects. I'm going to talk about 3 categories, and I'm going to give you an exercise. And I want you to and once you're done with that exercise, I want you to kind of come back to this video, comment how it works, allow free of comment if you found out anything new. So let's talk about the 3 categories of sound effects. The 3 categories are pretty easy. Ready? Number 1, sound effects that are easily identified. 2, sound effects that need identification but work. And number 3, sound effects that just absolutely no good. Okay, let's go with the first one. Sound effects that need no introduction, that are easy to identify. The squeaky door. If you listen to old-time horror or anybody, even modern-day horror, modern-day horror stories, you can always hear the squeaky door and you know what's happening. Another one, borrowing from the example of writing earlier, the stomping or the walking. Pretty easy to identify what those are. Ones that are not easily identified are kind of surprising. And that is, for example, rain and fire. To the ear, you might think, oh, that they're different. No, they're not. They actually make a very similar sound to the ear. How do you solve it? It's with dialogue. For example, oh my God, they're trapped in a house, but little Bobby is up there. Yeah, but the flames are reaching up to that room. He's going to die. Well, we need to put the fire out. And in the background now, you got fire. Because through the power of suggestion, through that introduction, the sound becomes fire inside the head. Same thing with rain. And you might add thunder sounds to this as well. But might say, oh, wow, it's really raining cats and dogs out there. Once again, that line of introduction implies a sound that the person's going to hear, and they immediately translate the sound that they're listening to into the sound of rain or sound of a storm. Now, I'm going to talk about how to identify these and what you need to practice on. Finally, though, is the sounds that absolutely make no sense without an with or without an introduction. On television and movies, you can do sound effects that might make no sense to an audio play. Because usually sound effects are emphasizing something or giving something that would be hard to record on film, a sound, so that the viewer can hear the sound and hear what's happening, like gunshots, so forth. There are sounds in this world that you really just can't tell what they are. It could be slamming of a lid. It could be screwing on a jar lid. What you need to do is figure out how to be able to tell what sounds fall into your 3 categories. How to do this. Modern day, we have it easy. 2 ways of doing it. One, you don't even have to leave your home for number one. Turn on the television. Then turn your back on the television. Use only your ears. Listen to the story that you're listening to, whatever television show. I recommend a drama or comedy, but listen to the sounds. Not so much the dialogue. Hopefully maybe there's a show you've already watched and you don't care what's actually being said. Listen to the sounds. See if there's a sound that you can quickly identify. Oh, that was George slamming the door or shutting the washing machine or whatever. And then write these down. Door, easy to identify. You hear something else, maybe you don't know, you can't tell what it is. You put a question mark by it. Then you go back, and with the question marks, you go back, rewatch the show, which might be why you want to have one already that you've seen, and listen for that sound again, but this time you're watching it, and see what happens. See if you can identify what it is. And see if that's something that is a sound that needs an identification. Because if it needs an identification, when you write your audio play that uses the same kind of sound, you're going to want to have an identifying line of dialogue or narration. Okay, and if there's something that just makes absolutely no sense, don't even bother putting in your audio drama. Okay, so that is for today. Next week, I'm going to look, yes, not next week, tomorrow, we're going to talk about sound effects and being more selective with them. So before I go, I'm going to re-ask you, come register at www.windingtrailsmedia.com for the monthly script writers table. Also, too, I'm going to ask you to please go ahead and sign up for the monthly newsletter that comes out. It is absolutely free. There's only going to be one time a month that's going to be sent out. You won't see it again until the following month. I promise not to overload your email box. I'll leave that to other marketers to do to you. In the newsletter, we are going to have ways to get discounts on the webinars or web courses that we're going to be giving for writers. We're going to have announcements of upcoming radio plays, so on. There's going to be a lot of information. Finally, too, take a look, and you'll see some of those webinars are coming up. Right now, as of today, I've got 2 listed, which are one that's based on this video series, but you're going to be able to interact with the instructor, who is me, on how to write radio dramas. I'm also giving a web course on writing the villain. There are antagonists, and every villain is technically an antagonist, but not every antagonist is a villain. And we're going to break it down from psychology and criminal psychology point of view, and at the end of that course, you're going to make a villain, a true villain, not somebody who sounds cardboard, twisting their mustache, going, "I will end the world," or "I will destroy the moon for $1 million." Okay. Bad Austin Powers, I know. Okay. So do that. Also find us on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel here, and tune in next week. And I'm sorry, I'm getting ready for Write Pack Radio while I'm recording this. Write Pack Radio is a podcast we give for writers by writers, and that's weekly. This, what you're seeing, is going to be daily, so have a great day writing. Leave comments. Let me know what you think. Thanks.